Would you use this method over here with your wife, with your kids, with your pets, with your job? Would you do that? And if you can see that, help them see that, my method really is kind of dumb. All of this goes back to we shouldn't allow people to criticize the Bible for not being what it was never intended to be. Corollary, we shouldn't criticize the biblical writer for not writing what he never intended to write. Okay, that is a useful thing. This is about apologetics. This is the orientation of second year. People who are criticizing Scripture need to be awakened to the fact that many of their criticisms are crossing both of those lines. They are criticizing a thing for not being what they want it to be, or what they think it is, and neither of those things align with what the writer actually intended to produce or do. So if you can get a person to realize that, my criticism is a little misguided here, because I wouldn't criticize my dog for not being a cat. I wouldn't criticize my son for not being my daughter. I wouldn't criticize, my McDonald's hamburger for not being a steak. Again, we don't do this kind of thinking in real life. Because it's an absurdity. It's foolish. And what I would want people to be able to do from this class is to get people who are being critical of Scripture. It's like a straw man. They're erecting something that's easy for them to criticize and knock down. You have to awaken people to the fact that they're doing that, and then asking them, how would you feel if I did this to something you wrote? How would you feel if I did this to your position? Or you as a person? I mean, how would you feel, if I approach something that you're really committed to in the same way? It's really foolish. It's unwise, it's foolish, it's misguided. And if you can get people to sort of realize that that's what they're doing, in many cases, then you can have a conversation with them. Let's talk about why there are similarities. Let's talk about why there are differences. These things are there, but they're not there for the reason you think they're there, and they didn't get there for in the way that you think they got there. So what I'm trying to do in the class is trying to give you sort of a platform for having better discussions than just shouting matches or trying to one-up someone with sources. They don't care about your sources. They're going to go find a source that trumps your source. Here, I've got two and you've got one now. It really doesn't accomplish a whole lot. You have to awaken people to how they're processing a question. And then explain to them, here's how you're processing the question, and here's why I don't process it that way. And here's why I do process it another way. And I'm always in favor of when you're showing about how we process questions, try to throw something in that's just normal life. Would you use this method over here with your wife, with your kids, with your pets, with your job? Would you do that? And if you can see that, help them see that, my method really is kind of dumb. Then they might awaken to the fact that, okay, that's not a good argument. I still don't like Jesus. I still don't like your faith, but okay, it's not a good argument, but I'm going to come back with a better one. Okay. It's just part of a discussion. It's really how to have conversations, how to have discussions. And I think, when you can align that with who you are as a person, you're their friend, you're gracious to them, or whatever it is. If you can give them a positive relationship, even if it's, just some interaction online, it's something that the Spirit of God can use down the road. You're trying to have better conversations with them.